Hello and welcome everybody. Slim Slam and the Bandwagon Fan NFL Week 3 review show, proudly brought to you by the Jersey Cartel on Facebook. Be sure to check them out. I'm Slim, to my right, that's Slam, and to my left, the big guy, the Bandwagon Fan. Boys, how are we?
Mate, I am ecstatic.
Ecstatic.
This week's game, especially coming off the back of Monday Night Football,
Yep.
loved it. Could not be more happy to see some good quality games come back onto our regularly scheduled programs.
That's right. There were some absolute humdingers going around, and obviously the Kansas City Chiefs today to knock off the Baltimore Ravens was something that made us all quite happy.
It did pick up my spirits, Blaze, but as you can imagine, and since I'm wearing this hat,
Yep.
I am super flat.
Super flat.
Flat.
Why are you flat?
Yeah, why?
Well, Slammer's guarantee didn't get up this week, boys, and it was only just by a whisker. Like, now we only got one leg out of three, but one, like
A whisker.
We're going to quantify
no,
this.
No. But like in all seriousness, if you didn't see the game, the Chargers threw a hook and ladder at the end of the game, which if Eckler had actually caught, he had a free run to the end zone, they would have won. And the Cardinals, like Kyler Murray, my guy, had like 3 interceptions.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. Nah, well, you know, and that's the NFL for you. You win some, you lose some. This week,
I think that's
you
enough
lost.
of that hat for right now, though, to be fair, too.
All right, well, we're going to do a little, shizen, a little impromptu review there, Schnazi. What are we dealing with over here?
Midlife crisis.
Midlife crisis. Yes, that's probably one word for it. The big guy's obviously knocked off the top of his dime for charity, which is a nice little touch from Slammer. So well done, my friend.
Thanks, mate.
Excellent. Hey, this week I think we're going to get going like we'd like to on the review show with a bit of good call, bad call.
Oh, good call, bad
And
call.
have a look at
I'm excited.
It's my favourite segment.
It is. It's really coming into its own. Schnazi, take it away, my friend. I'm really keen for this one.
As the skinny guy to my right would say,
Yeah.
I got some humdingers coming at you today. So
Are they a squad?
I got
We're not getting
a
going.
squad of
like
humdingers going.
This is not how this is getting going.
Roll
tonight.
one up.
I'm
with
going
a
to start
squad
with
of
my favourite one.
humdingers.
Yes.
And it's about time this has happened. And
Right.
as you can tell by the smile on my face, I am stoked.
Very good.
The Mitch Trubisky experiment in Chicago is dead. Good call, bad call.
Great call.
I don't think there's going to be any disagreement from
Great
either
call.
one of us. That is a great call.
If he sees the field again, I will be furious. Did they name Foles the starter for
They
next
came
week?
I don't know how you can't after his
I
second
think
half
they came
performance.
out. I think they came out
I think
today
they
and
might
said
have,
that. Yeah, so I think as much as it's a bit of a gag there, Schnazi, it's definitely a good call.
Yeah, we'll probably get to it a bit later too. But when I woke up and saw the score, because this was an early game for us over here in Australia,
Yes. It was
and
one
saw
of the
that
3
score,
o'clock ones.
was it 30 points?
Yep.
I think they put up. I looked and was like, there is no way that man can put up 30 points.
Yeah.
There is no way, no how that man, Mitchell Trubisky, the number 2 pick in the MFL draft, and I was about to say NBA draft. I was going to get the real speed
coming up
wobbles.
soon.
The speed wobbles early, but yeah, there's no way in hell that guy is getting anywhere near that.
No.
And
And
it
it,
might be-
would be hard to see anybody picking him up in a trade period later on in the year either.
Yeah, it might be curtains for young Mitchell, but anyway, we'll see how that
So
pans
long
out.
and good riddance.
You won't be missed.
Very good.
Good call, bad call. So this one, a bit of background context. So the
Yep.
Texans' next 4 games are the Vikings, Jags, Titans, and Packers. They are currently 0-3. If the Texans do not win at least 3 of their next 4 games, their season is over. Good call, bad call.
It's a tall order, but unfortunately for them, that division has got the Titans in it, and they're going along just nicely.
Yeah.
So
Humming along.
Humming along indeed. I'm going to say it's a good call. I think they've definitely got to get at least at an absolute minimum 2, and then they've got to shape for a bit of a run towards the end of
2
the year.
puts them at 2-5.
2 and
Yeah.
5.
And
Yeah.
but it just keeps the
Even
door
3
open.
puts him at 3 and 4.
Yeah.
It's not great,
Not
so that's
good, is
why,
it?
you know.
And
But-
like, who'd you
being the
say?
smart man you
Who'd you
are.
say the 4 were again? Vikings,
So
Jags.
Vikings, Jags, Titans, and Packers. So
Yeah,
the
well,
Titans
so
and
the
Packers
last
being
two,
the
they're
tough
in-
2.
Yeah, the last
Yeah.
2, they're in trouble, aren't they?
And,
Yeah.
you know, maybe a game of the week or game to watch this week is the Texans and the Vikings, because one of those teams will be 0-4.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the season becomes.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Whoever loses that game, you'd probably say their season's done.
both playing in divisions which have respective, goers at the moment.
Yeah, current undefeated teams.
in the Packers and the
Humdingers.
Titans, humdingers indeed. So that window is closing rapidly. The mountain's getting steep. Something's got to give for either Houston or Minnesota. I
Sun's
tipped
getting
both.
real low.
Indeed, I tipped both of them to actually break their ducks this week and got both of them wrong. So that's how well I'm tracking. But
So good call all round.
yeah, good call. I
Good
think.
call.
Yeah, it's It's do or die. I'm not going back to humdinger.
It's hum. It's do or die.
Shout out Hum if you're listening. Might be a bit of an overreaction here, but good call, bad call. Bring back Tyrod. Sam's man.
Oh God.
Herbert
Bad call.
Herbert had a quiet week, but I don't think
He was okay.
He was okay, but I think at this point, you've just got to
He had
keep
330 yards.
You've got to keep blooding the young
Yeah.
man and let
Might as well
him
just keep
develop.
going.
I don't think.
Their season's not going to amount to too much this year, I wouldn't have thought, with either one of them under the helm. So
And Schnars, I would have thought, even if they do name Tyrod to come back in that starting gig, the doctor's got to intervene anyway.
Oh,
so
he's got it in for him.
So he's got no charge.
Imagine that.
So you
we
might as well.
probably didn't go over that in last week's show because it hadn't come to light yet. But those of you out there who don't know, the team doctor actually punctured his lung just before last week's game.
And then the team doctor recommended that he sit out indefinitely while he's recovering.
So there's a few red flags going on down there for Tyra at the minute. But hey, I think anytime you can see a young quarterback like Herbert just continue to develop, that's going to be good for the league.
It's a game they shouldn't have lost, though, to the Panthers, who
100%
we had in
as well.
our bottom two teams. Who
Really disappointing. Really disappointing for them. But hey, that's life with a young quarterback at the helm. It's going to happen sometimes.
That is. Moving to another young quarterback who's been in the system 3 years. For the Browns to make the playoffs, the Browns need to limit Baker Mayfield to 20 pass attempts a game. Good call, bad call.
Great call, Schnars. Great call. And that's because I said it to you. They need to be a run-first offense. They need to pound the rock with that two-headed monster.
That's right.
That you've got back there in Chubb and Kareem. And just pound the rock. Yeah. Absolutely. They need to be like Baltimore last year. Just pound the rock and limit what he has to do.
If you haven't seen the highlights package for that Browns game over the weekend just yet, Nick Chubb just looks unstoppable.
Pretty much just Nick Chubb.
It's Nick Chubb, and Kareem Hunt ends up catching one of the I think the only touchdown pass Baker threw on the day, I think, was to Kareem Hunt.
But I think in the last 2 weeks, he's only had like 20-ish throws, and they're the two that they've won. So I think with similar to the Ravens, they sort of need to be in front early and control the
tempo of the game.
Time of possession, the tempo of the game, all that. They need to run it, kill people, and just keep the ball away from the opposition.
The longer the year goes on, the sample size obviously grows innately with it. And I think you're starting to see these patterns of how teams want to play and also how they need to play to win. And I think that's probably the formula for them going forward, I would have thought.
100% agree. When Slammer quite rightly brought it up with me earlier, I sort of scratched my head a little bit considering the receivers the Browns do have.
Yeah.
But it's a tough spot to be in for those receivers like Juice Landry and Odell Beckham. Great receivers in their own right, but when your offense, you've got this dual-headed dragon that Blaze likes to call it.
And, you can be a good run blocking team and not be a good pass blocking team. I don't know what their O-line's like pass blocking, but they're doing a pretty good job at run blocking, so...
Keep riding it, I would have thought.
If it works, don't change it.
Absolutely.
That's it, technically.
Now, this one's a bit more of a... for all those Falcons enthusiasts out there.
Yeah.
Good call, bad call. The Falcons should tank to make sure they're... The Falcons should tank to make sure they're behind at three-quarter time.
Yep.
So that they can have an opportunity to win the game.
I love it.
Instead of losing it.
That's a great call,
It's
Schnars.
thinking outside the box, Schnars.
Great call.
Yeah.
Last 2 weeks, they've gone into the last quarter with huge leads.
Yep.
All they've done is bottle them.
So,
this week, if I was in charge, I'd say, fellas, go out there and make sure we're behind by at least a touchdown at three-quarter time,
flip the script.
and we'll try and run somebody else down.
I don't mind
The pressure's off, fellas.
Yeah,
the
pressure's off.
Obviously, we can't handle the heat in the kitchen.
I mean, I don't know how much longer Calvin Ridley can keep running this hot. I mean, like...
Exactly. Another 100-yard game. My guy.
The poor bastard is just... I mean, I don't know. Like, he didn't have to bleep bastard per se, but I mean...
Did Julio miss this week?
I don't know.
I didn't see many of the highlights
Yeah,
back
I
we watched
don't
before.
think
Like
so.
he might not have played.
Yeah, he might not have. But
There was that last one too that was going in Ridley's direction before it was intercepted to seal the game too. So imagine if he caught that, he would have been his stock. Sam's head would have even got bigger and bigger.
yeah, there's no way that hat would fit,
No.
even with the newly trimmed
The new
dome.
do.
So
true.
Yeah.
The salad being
With that
freshened up.
said, it's a bit tongue in cheek, Schnazzy, but I mean, there's some real red hot issues going on down there in Atlanta.
And I think we'll get to it more when we
Huge
look at
issues.
the review of their game.
100%. It's just a real concern. I don't know what you can do there. I think if Dan Quinn is just sitting on the hottest seat in football probably at the minute. You can't afford. You won't survive losses like that consistently. And 3 in 3 weeks like that? Just appalling. So
Not good.
we'll get to that when we get to it.
100% we will.
And is that it for the good call, bad call, my friend?
Yeah, we'll keep it short and sharp this week, although that probably prolonged over a bit of a longer period
No,
than I would have
that's all
liked.
right,
But,
that's all right.
a bit of in-depth analysis, not hated by the fans.
No, I think good
I
call,
loved
bad
it.
call. I think it's one of our better segments. It gives us opportunity to look at some of
Absolutely.
those more outside of the actual tips and the results. We can look at a few stories in there, and we love a good NFL story.
And Blaze,
That's what we do.
don't forget, stay tuned for the end of the show when we unveil a new segment.
We've got a new segment coming, fans. So
We'll keep the name under wraps.
We'll
though.
keep the name.
Ooh,
yeah.
yeah.
That's right. Because we don't want to give it away just yet. But anyway, we'll get to it when we get to it. Let's jump into Thursday Night Football, shall we? Jags v Dolphins. 13-31 to the Dolphins. The return of Fitzmagic. Fitztragic got benched, and they did what they had to do there.
So I put a bit of a same game multi on this game.
Yeah, little Stevie on. Good friends at Sportsbet, of course.
Might have been Ladbrokes.
And how did you go?
Not very well, because you know why I did not go well.
Right.
I've been hearing the bloke to my right talk about Mike Gesicki for the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
I had him on there. I believe his line was at about 29-ish sort of yards.
Yeah.
He had 1 reception for 15 yards.
He had a terrible
It was
day.
a good reception. Though.
Down from 8 receptions for 130 yards the week before.
Yeah.
Your man cost me.
I don't have anything to tell you.
And that was probably about the only thing I could follow in that game, because that game was a snooze fest.
Yeah, it was a bit of a snooze. I mean, the only highlights there were when Fitzmagic was throwing any of those tubs. He just was carrying on like an absolute lunatic.
Yeah, and the rushing tub that he had as well.
Yeah.
The old man.
The young running back, I think it's Robinson out of Jacksonville. He had a pretty tidy game.
46 rushing yards and 83 yards receiving.
Yeah, so he'd be pretty happy with that.
He was an undrafted free agent as well, so that's the kind of talent they're working with down in Jacksonville.
Which is not bad considering they lost 13-31. He's had a decent day, but for himself.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, with Fournette going, there's obviously question marks at running back there. There's a job to be had. There's money to be made.
So I probably got some stats around the rest of their offensive weapons too. So we just touched on.
You have committed to doing some research on the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I have. All those Jags fans out there, there's not many.
Yes, you've done well.
None of them have actually hit me up yet. So it's just in case.
I'm sure they're coming.
They're going to come. If you build it, they will come.
That's right.
So we touched on James Robinson there. So the undrafted free agent had about 130 yards between 11 carries, 6 receptions. Their wide receiver room looks like this. Keelan Cole, signed as an undrafted free agent in 2017. He's had one good season. They've got DJ Shark, but I think it's Chark.
Yeah.
Chark. He's technically their wide receiver one. I believe it was.
He didn't play on the weekend.
He's injured at the moment. Yeah. And he has, in his 2018 season, had 1,000 receptions for 8 touchdowns. So he's normally going to get your best
1,000
corner.
receptions or 1,000 yards?
1,000 yards. Thank you.
Then bloody hell of a season.
He shattered Michael Thomas's record, for sure.
Blake Bortles had a serious year that year. And then the third receiver, who they took at pick 42, who was the 8th receiver off the board, which I didn't really know much about, and I probably can't even say his name that well.
Tell me to say it.
Yeah, slam it.
Laviska Chenault.
It's okay.
So he's their third on their depth chart, and he hasn't started that well, considering the wide receiver pool that came out. So
they've got Chris Conley as well.
They do, but he is not. Was he? He didn't play on the weekend, did he?
No, he played. He had some great drops.
He's been quiet.
Some great drops. So there you go. So the picture I'm trying to paint here is like I'm big on Minshew. I think his first few weeks have been good. He's putting up some good numbers.
Yep.
But the talent that he's working with is the issue here. So, and which leads me to probably my next point being, you're going to bring in Trevor Lawrence next year if, Slammer guaranteed.
Yeah.
You're going to have to build some pieces for Trevor to throw to, because regardless of whether it's Minshew or Trevor Lawrence, with these pieces, you're not going to see
struggle.
Your performance isn't going to go up.
It's the same thing as Darnold in New York.
Yeah.
Like, you can't look that good if you got nothing to throw to.
Yeah.
Or Mahomes looks bloody good, but Mahomes has also got serious weapons.
Or even look at a generational talent like Aaron Rodgers. Like, he is an unbelievable quarterback, but they've just never surrounded with talent. They've never given him the opportunity to be like unjustly successful in terms of just stacking Super Bowls, stacking championships, because he just hasn't had. It's a team game.
It's harder for these small market teams as well.
Of course,
like
it is.
Jacksonville,
you're not going to get your
nice
Odell
place
Beckhams and stuff signing.
Not a storied franchise that people want to go and play for, sort of thing.
It's
interesting thing to note here with the Dolphins, it was actually their first win by more than 10 points in 3 years.
Well, and I mean that fits with our kind of. Watch this space with the Dolphins as they continue to kind of trend in the right direction. A bit of a hiccup.
If you remember last week, Blaze, I said it would be really, because as I said, they built their team as a defense first orientated team, and I said it'd be really good if they could keep the Jags to under 15 points.
And there it is.
Get them to 13.
And they've done that.
Chucky Charles with another good one there. He loves making the calls, and he especially loves bringing attention to the fact that he got them right afterwards.
It's an easy call to make, though, when you're playing Jacksonville.
I mean, that's...
Hang on, Minshew had been going pretty well.
He had been going well, but Jacksonville as a collective,
yeah,
he hadn't been going too well.
Probably all we need to be saying on that one.
We've probably given this too much time, but at the end of the day, the narrative we're trying to build here is with the pieces Jacksonville have now, regardless if you get Trevor Lawrence, you're not going to see them go in the direction that you see the Kyler Murrays, the Baker Mayfields taking in years 2 and 3.
It does feed back into what you kind of mentioned in the season preview, Schnars, which was, if they do end up with pick 1, I can't remember, it might not have been you, it might have been Sam, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. if it does end up they've got pick 1 and they think Gardner might be their guy, do you then trade out of that position for a slew
Build
of
some
picks
talent.
and build some talent around it? I mean, that's going to be a real storyline to watch, but it's very hard to see.
Hard to
that
pass on
happening.
the
You
generational
can't
quarterback.
pass on one of those options at quarterback.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just offering a contrary opinion. No need to shoot me down.
I'm just telling you, it's shit.
Jesus.
And the hard part,
Christ.
they've got a lot of picks coming up because obviously they got rid of Jalen
Yeah,
Ramsey
they're doing
and
like
stuff.
4 first-round picks.
Yeah, so they're
So
gonna.
that's in that situation, they probably wouldn't want to trade out of it because they've already got those other 3.
If they've
picks
already
to go
got
around
the
yeah.
war chest,
But-
good luck to them.
Yeah.
The issue is they've got no more pieces left to sell as well.
Yeah.
So they have to go to the well. They have to go to
Yeah.
the draft to find these
Yeah,
players.
there's no more cash to.
There's no other
Actually,
options. But hey, we've given it enough airtime. We mentioned
Into my
it
game of the
and then
week.
talked about it for another 2 minutes.
Take us
Into
away, Slam.
Slammers game of the week.
Slammers game of the week. Now, as we touched on earlier, the Texans are 0-3, and that's because the Steelers beat them 28-21 this weekend. And that's a good win for the Steelers. Steelers are 3-0.
Yep.
Good defense, as we've said. And do you know, a bad stat for the Texans here, Blaze, have allowed
Around.
160 rushing
Rod.
yards per game.
Yeah,
this
that is
season.
not good. That is not good.
160 rushing yards to each team they've played this season.
I don't
That's
know
not
that
good.
it's red alert in Houston. And now hear me out because it's going to sound funny at 0-3, but they've obviously had to play the Chiefs
And the stock exchange segment.
and the stock exchange segment. They had to play the Chiefs, the Ravens, and now they've come against the Steelers, who are also 3-0 and going all right. Now, it's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, as some of our favourite AFL coaches tend to say, Chris
course.
Scott and the like. But you've got to start putting something together. And Schnazzy, you outlined those 4 games. It's going to get real dark real quick if you can't, show us something. Show us something.
Absolutely. But the rushing defense is a serious problem
Yeah.
here. 109 yards to Connor alone on the weekend at one tub. Like, got gouged by the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody pretty much gets gouged by the Ravens on run defense.
Yeah.
But still,
It's a tricky one because I think the Steelers are still a bit of an unknown. I touched on this with Sam today. We were sitting down watching the Chiefs Ravens game. The Steelers haven't beaten a team that has a win this year yet. Now, you can only beat what's put in front of you,
You can.
granted. But, I don't know how much stock you can put in them just yet. I want to see them.
yeah, but I don't think you're going to sit, because we can't say at the same stage that the Texans are, haven't won a game and they've played all these great teams if you're not going to give the Steelers
The
any
Texans
credit for
season
beating
is
the
theoretically
Texans.
over though. They've played.
Well, as you said,
they've
they
played
need to win
3
some
of.
games in a hurry.
Yeah.
They've played 3 of the, maybe your top sort of echelon teams.
100%.
Yeah, probably the 3 of the top 5 AFC teams.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
And they've played them
100%.
now, and they haven't shaken the sauce bottle much. They
No.
haven't been that great.
No.
So you're pretty much saying, okay, you're potentially looking for a wild card here.
Yeah.
And given your early start of the season, I know things can drastically change.
Yeah.
But I just don't see it changing here. As you've called out, the run defense is no good.
Yeah, it's awful.
The offense is playing pretty well. Like we called out trading D-Hop earlier,
Yeah.
but the rest of the receivers is still
No,
playing
I tell you
pretty
what,
well.
The spread
tell you
option.
what, David Johnson, who we gave a bit of a rap to,
Oh,
after
your
week
man.
one, has
Gone ice
done
cold.
nothing.
He's gone
since
ice
then.
cold. Yeah, and whether that was just a bit of hype game 1, he came out and had a crack, and now it's kind of
Yeah.
petering again. I'm not sure.
What's
But
that?
to be
13
fair,
13
Steelers
carries
and
for 23
Ravens-
yards.
Yeah.
Steelers and Ravens both have a pretty good run defense, but he'd want to have a good one next weekend.
The pressure's going to come on.
It will come on.
Big Ben played it right.
Big Ben looked good. 28-21 there, if you didn't catch that. Steelers over the Texans in Pittsburgh. Eagles, Bengals. I think we can save a bit of time here and just...
Yeah, run
I don't
right
know what
through
the
it.
hell is going on at
One-
Philadelphia.
okay.
Our mate, the Jersey Cartel.
The
Just-
quarterback
23-23 draw as well for those of you
Yeah.
who didn't know.
The quarterback position was the most interesting thing for my mind to watch in this game.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, he's controlling the rock well.
Yeah.
I think he had like 2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Yep.
Like slung.
Yeah.
I think it was 41 throws down from 63.
312 yards.
Yeah. So he's controlling the game. The biggest issues with the Bengals is they just don't have a run game.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon's just doing absolutely nothing
Which
out
is
there. And I'm not
bizarre.
going to blame him
Yeah.
personally, but
Probably
that
got more to do with the line. I
yeah, the
reckon.
O-line as well. Like, but it was good to see Trevor Lawrence's main man T Higgins get 2 tuts.
Yes. T.
So
Higgins
shout out to
did look good.
Clemson fans out there.
Yep.
But then coming back full circle to the Eagles,
Wentz has been awful.
Wentz is stinking it up.
Yeah,
and
shocking.
I'm not too far away from introducing good cool, bad cool. Dak has surpassed Carson Wentz.
That will get
I
a
was
rise.
thinking about it today as well.
So
actually.
not.
Yeah.
Do you know he's had 2 interceptions in all 3 games this season?
Oh, you know
2
what?
plus INTs in
You know what
every game
he's
this year.
concerning.
You know what he must have had for dinner last night?
What's that, my friend?
Crab legs.
Jeepers.
Because he is coming for your record, Jameis.
He's embodying
true.
crab legs. And Crablegs just sits down there in a New Orleans Saints outfit that is spittering and sputtering a little bit themselves. But
Drew played well this week.
he was up on it. It was a down week the week before. But hey, I don't want to waste too much time with them.
Nah.
It was a tie. It was a bit of a
Boyd,
snoozer.
Tyler Boyd did have 10 receptions for 125 yards.
And he-
Probably
yeah.
the only interesting thing out of that
And
game.
AJ Green seems to be just slowing down and not
I
looking
think-
fantastic at the moment.
Boyd and T. Higgins are the future here.
Yeah.
Green, they're going to be the men that not Trevor Lawrence, sorry. Joe Burrow is going to build his offense
correct.
around.
Correct.
Ideally, they can get some more help on the O-line through
He
the
looked
draft
far
next
better
year.
than wins.
Yeah.
And I think you quite rightly said there, Slam, that Burrow actually looked like the seasoned
Yeah.
quarterback, the seasoned vet.
100%.
So
Which is a concern if you're a Philly fan with that team. I know
it's not always sunny in Philadelphia.
It's not. Apparently not. As
Great.
I
Another
can't
one.
go anywhere.
Another
That's fantastic.
Pop culture reference.
Pop culture reference, indeed. Hey, from one snoozer to another, the 49ers second stringers knocked off the Giants in a whitewash.
Yes. Ugly.
Score there 36-9 in New York. Got away without any more significant injuries, I believe, San Francisco.
Yes.
no
and
comments on the grass so
they'll be
far
happy with the
come
turf
through,
then.
which is good.
Interestingly
Yes.
enough, of course. 36-9, a hapless Giants uniform. Danny fumbles with another fumble this week. And it's just not looking good down in New York, is it?
Mullins at quarterback for the Niners there, Blaze. 343 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. So not bad little replacement for Garoppolo
I
there.
did raise that he looked all right.
Maybe
when he
Garoppolo's not that
came in-
good, just
when-
Well, not throwing shade at Garoppolo here, but we've never said he's a
No.
exceptional quarterback.
No.
He's
Game
a great
manager.
game manager,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's what that team needs. So it's one of those quarterbacks that's easy to plug and replace.
Yes, correct.
Opposite
It's replaceable.
situation to what Seattle's got going with Russell
Oh.
Wilson right now. If you take Russell out, that team probably
Anyone
lose by
even
10
know
scores a week.
who's his backup quarterback? Who would know?
Don't waste any time.
Yeah.
thinking.
Here we
Brandon
go.
Ayuk had a bit of a breakout game. in
Yeah,
the
you would have
NFL.
been happy with that.
Yeah, pretty happy with that.
And I know San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan and the like are pretty hot on Ayuk.
Yeah,
And they also
had-
got Debo Samuel starting to float around
Yeah,
as
he's
a
about to be back as well.
about to
Yeah.
be reactivated off
So, yeah.
IR. So you could see them make a little jump in the offense. I mean, 36 is already a great start, but you're not playing much
No,
down in New York.
I mean-
at the
They
moment.
need.
Yeah.
They need something. They need to get in the division they sit in.
Yeah.
They just need wins where
Yeah.
they can get them. And
Yeah.
this game getting out of there pretty like the Giants.
They did what they had to do.
They
in
did
New
what they had to
York.
do, and the Giants, in my opinion, them versus the Jets. It's almost like a flip of the coin. Like, do we know? Are they scheduled to meet this year?
No, they wouldn't be.
I don't think so.
No.
But it does.
No, they can't because
Now that you mention that, Schnaz,
Yeah.
it brings to mind a movie I watched yesterday. It was called 21 Bridges with the late Chadwick Boseman. It's on Amazon Prime at the moment. And in that movie, he plays a detective. Anyway, long story short,
Shout out to Amazon Prime.
Lo-
And rest in peace, Charlie Boseman.
long story short, in the movie,
Jeff
there's,
Bezos, approve our podcast.
there's a murder and they don't want them to escape New York City until they close all the bridges. Now, for me at the moment, that might be
Are
a
you talking
solution.
about Batman?
No.
Because you've got the wrong bloke.
For me, that might be a solution for what's going on in New York City at the moment with both their football teams. Just lock them in and don't let anyone in or out because it is absolutely shambolic. Anytime they
Good
get
for
on,
COVID too.
Well, their running game, the Giants this week, they had 15 rush attempts. Danny Fumbles had 5 of those.
yeah,
They picked up Freeman, who admittedly didn't expect miracles out of him in game
Yeah.
1, had 5 carries for like 10 yards.
Yeah.
They just, like, they're obviously Saquon's was a big out.
Bloody
but-
strange
it's-
for a top 10 offense, that.
Ah.
That is
Mate, we're past that. I sold that call last week.
He tried to
I
get off the
sold it.
books. Hey, moving on. Patriots.
Oh, moving on to the team that's going to be worse than Miami, hey?
Patriots continue to surprise all of us. Least most of whom I should say would be the big Chucky man. 36-20 over the Raiders, who looked good against the Saints, and the Patriots came out and gave him a bit of a touch up. Chucky.
Yeah, but I mean, I predicted this,
Yeah.
so let's not be too surprised. I mean,
Okay.
as I said, it's a long trip up into New England from Las Vegas.
Yep.
But, they did what they had to do. Cam didn't have a rushing touchdown this week, which is a bit annoying because I did have that in a multi, but that's okay.
You know what, actually, what I took away from that game was just the way the Patriots flipped the script on their game plan
Yep.
this week. I think last week their rushes, they had against the Seahawks, they had 24 rushes.
Yeah.
And then obviously Bill looked at the tape during the week and saw, all right, the Saints looked the best against the Raiders when like Kamara was running the ball.
Correct. Yep.
And this week they come out and they had 39 rushes combined between all of their running backs
Selection of
/
backs.
receivers.
Yeah.
And Sony Michel came out. I think
Yeah.
last week he had 7 rushes for about 20-ish yards, or
Yeah.
maybe less. Wasn't a great, and we were talking him down. We're saying, not a good time to be him.
Yeah.
No.
This week comes out, gets 9 carries for 117 yards.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Took the words right out of my mouth.
5-17.
So I think the thing here is you're going to see a lot of teams going up against the Raiders trying to run the ball. So the Raiders, if they're going to, they surprise us with their 2-1 start or their 2-0 start
Yeah.
initially. to be able to continue and have a successful year. John Gruden's a smart man, so I expect him to figure it out. They just need to fix their run defense, and I think things will look a lot more sunnier in Las Vegas. Not that it's not a...
That's not exactly...
The stars might shine brighter there. I don't know.
Oh, there you go.
The casinos might make more money.
There you go. You've done very well.
Burkhead had 3 touchdowns.
I was going to say, old Rexy Burkhead looked, for a 30-year-old man, that tub he caught and then jumped into the end zone and did a somersault in midair. That was pretty elite. That was pretty cool to watch. They'll take that all day, 36-20.
Actually, the first win that Cam's had, Blaze, in 2 years when he's thrown an interception.
Is that right?
Wasn't a great pick either.
No, it wasn't a great pick.
It wasn't there. He shouldn't have thrown
Probably
it.
the only shining light for the Raiders in this one was Hunter Renfro, who we spoke about a little bit in previous episodes. Had 84 yards and 1 touchdown.
Yeah, so. and he continues to improve. I think they've got a little goer there.
He's
Henry
just
Ruggs,
a genuine, what I would say, I don't know the bloke from Bar Soap, but would be what I would envision to be one of the hardest workers. Not naturally talented or skilled, but just knows how to play football.
Yeah,
Grinds.
And he's just grinding. And
Gives off real Edelman vibes.
He does. He really does.
Slot receiver, small little white guy.
Henry Ruggs didn't get a run this week.
I believe he might have been a bit injured. He was under a cloud, I think, the first few weeks as well. So they might have just gone, hey,
he does make a difference for them, even though he's only a rookie. That breakaway speed, much like Tyreek Hill in Kansas City, I think...
garners a lot of the safety's attention.
It does. You got to keep the cap on the defense that way, and it can open things up for you.
We're comparing horses with ponies now.
Okay, very good, my friend. With that said, moving on, Vikings and Titans. Speaking of horses and ponies, this was a close game, but the Titans are going along just nicely, and the Vikings sputtered that dreaded 0-3 in a division where the Packers are lighting it up. So
you know Goskowski earned his paycheck here.
Goskowski did.
What was the stats on that game? Was it 18 points off Goskowski's boot?
Yeah, he had
16.
it was 18.
So the first 12 points they put up in the first half, or up until like about the 6-minute mark of the third quarter, all came off his boot. And the Vikings were actually looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Kirk played a lot better. He apologised to the Twitter sphere.
And your good
world.
self, I think, by virtue of that.
I reckon he saw my rant last week and's gone, Schnars, I'm your man, and I'm going to fix this.
Didn't have a great week, though.
Didn't have a great week.
251 yards, 3 TDs, and 2 INTs.
I think it was the other way around. 2 TDs, 3 INTs.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I might have got that one wrong.
But the last interception he threw was more of a sort of a Hail Mary type setup.
It was at the end. It was 4-24 or something like that.
But the Vikings had the game sort of in control. Their defense played pretty well.
This was in Minnesota, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it's a game they should have won. But the Titans, I think what was the stat last week I gave you? Slam, out of their last 12 games, they were 9-3.
Yep.
Which moves them now to 10-3.
And in the stat that I gave them about them last week, Schnars, when he rushes more than 25 times, they win. And Derrick Henry had 26 rushes. So 119 yards, 2 touchdowns. First time in 12 years the Titans have started 3-0 as well.
And I think it just flips the script on their season last year too, where we spoke about how slow they started and how they pushed the proverbial up the hill to get to the playoffs. And, if you put them in a, not going to say they're going to be a number 1 seed or anything like that, but if you put them up there and they get a bye or something like that, they're a serious threat because you take the workload away from Derrick Henry and stuff like that, keep him fresh going in.
I think sort of as we alluded to before as well with... whose offense was I talking about? The Browns. Cook had 181 yards rushing. I think that has to be Minnesota's blueprint. They've got to run the ball and run the ball hard and take it out of Kirk's hands. They don't want him being responsible for.
He's a game manager. We've said it multiple times. Yep. You keep him within his means, and you'll go okay.
He did lose his number 1 weapon from last year as well, which hurts.
He did. And
Vikings. So the Vikings are 0-3 here, as we've said. Vikings have never made the playoffs when starting the season 0-3.
Yeah, so they're under the pump there. And hey, before we move on from them, maybe a little cheeky hot take here. Mike Vrabel lurking around as one of the Coach of the Year candidates if this kind of run continues?
I don't think so. I think the Titans were expected to make the playoffs. I think most people would have had them tipped winning the division.
Yeah, I'm only posing the question, my friend.
No, that division was well and truly up in the air at the start of the year. We flagged 3 teams that could have won it.
We did, but, looking back now... hindsight's a wonderful thing.
I think those sort of awards as well, you have to be, you have to make the playoffs, but...
Like Cliff Kingsbury could be someone that wins it this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
If the Cardinals make it...
They might take into consideration sort of the back half of last year as well. Because sometimes with those awards, they try and even things out sort of thing.
Because they won a playoff game last year.
Yeah.
They won 2.
Yeah, they were in the championship.
So I don't think, based on that, and as Slam quite rightly pointed out, they like a story, they like a narrative.
Yeah.
So that's why I reckon like someone like Cliff Kingsbury this year.
Yep.
If the Cardinals have a good season,
Yes, if the Cardinals jump from what were they, like 7 and 9 last year,
Yep.
or
Yep.
6 and 10, something like that. If they jump to 10 and 6, 11 and 5, and make
Make
the
the
playoffs,
playoffs.
yeah.
It might be something to watch anyway. I think that's always an interesting.
mate, you've got your finger on the pulse, and I love it.
I always try to, my friend. Hey, Browns v the Washington football
Oddball
team.
team.
We did mention it before. The Browns getting it done there, 34-20.
Yep, true.
Um,
Well worked out as well, because I've written the scores around
You
the wrong
did.
way
You
on
put
that
you
one.
put me on my toes, my friend.
Yeah.
But luckily, I'm all over that one. The Browns' run game, as we've touched on, we probably don't need to rehash it too much. Chubb and Kareem Hunt continue to be dynamic, and Baker in that managerial kind of role seems
So he
to
only
be
had
the go.
100. He only had 156 yards on the
Yeah.
weekend. So
Yeah.
like that's what you need.
Now, what we do need to touch on here is a couple of things in terms of the young players at Washington. Chase Young is hurt. We're not
sure.
sure.
It's a groin.
Yeah, we're not sure the extent just yet.
It's a groin.
Probably
injury.
not the whole. It's not a season one, but
No.
it's just a bit of
It's
bit
a
annoying,
slight concern
really.
for them. Probably of more concern was Dwayne Haskins.
Do you want to have another crack at that?
Yeah, just
Wait. Sorry, I'll get it for you. Dwayne Trash Cans.
Dwayne
Amazing.
trash cans through 3 absolutely heinous INTs. How well am I tracking here?
Not good.
And it's
Stock
just
Exchange will be selling your
it's just
stock.
a real concern for them. I mean, this is a guy they spent a high draft pick on. They really wanted to establish him as their marquee quarterback moving forward. You've got Alex Smith now sitting in the wings. I don't know how much longer are you going to put up with the INTs like that. It's just
I think
really poor reading.
he's one of the. This is probably a bit of a different situation than what's going on in Miami. And, also going on in LA with the Chargers, and
Don't get too disheartened though, because at 1 and 2, they're winning the division.
they are winning the division. But I think Alex Smith's road to
Wrong division.
playing again is a lot longer than someone like Tua and a lot longer than Herbert.
Yeah, I
so
think
I think
you're right.
Haskins is going to get at least half a season to prove himself. And at the moment, I think Slammer, you mentioned earlier today, he hadn't thrown an interception until today.
Yeah, hadn't thrown one this year. Until today's games.
Yeah. And there was obviously a few nasty ones mixed in there, but that's how it goes.
Absolutely.
I mean, we can't throw. I know I've just kind of maybe put a line through him somewhat, but it's hard to put him out entirely just yet. I mean, he's got to continue to learn. He's a young man, but the pressure's on, I think. And I think the main point there is the 3 interceptions he threw were pretty average. Like they looked really, really
and then the
bad.
strip sack.
And the
towards
strip
end
sack
as
at
well.
the end is.
Would you like a great Browns fact, Blaze?
I always like your little tidbits.
This is gonna be good.
First time the Browns have been above 500 after 3 games since 2011.
Right.
Oh, I thought honestly it would have been longer than 2011.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what they finished that season? 4 and 12.
Right. So there you go.
So they
So
were above 500 just for a little bit there.
Started odds. You've just pulled that little tidbit out. You've
I would have been on the
presented-
bandwagon early
Oh.
and then sell.
You would have got right off. I don't mind that. Who was the quarterback that year, Chuck? Can you remember?
2011 for the Browns?
Yeah.
Could have been anyone.
Could have been one of
Have
29.
had a
Could have
few.
been one of 29 guys.
Yeah, there's been a few.
Very good.
There would have been a squad of men lined up, and it could have been any of them.
I love that. Yeah, very good. Good from you. Bills Rams. Schnazzy, this was your
Game of
game
the
of the
week.
week.
And I think it lived up to the
I
hype.
think you're probably
Absolutely.
right.
A
this
real
week-
tale of 2 halves.
I think a shout out to all of us this week. Slammer picked the Steelers and the Texans. That was 28-21. I picked the Bills and Rams 35-32.
Yeah.
And then you picked, obviously, the Ravens and the Chiefs,
Very
which was
safe.
20-34, which maybe wasn't the closest game in the score, maybe favoured
But
the
it was-
Ravens. But we'll get to that.
That was plenty entertaining, yeah.
But as Slammer quite rightly
Like
pointed
you're a
out,
Ravens fan.
game of 2 halves.
Yes.
The Bills dominated the first half.
Yep.
The Rams dominated the second. It was almost game of 2 comebacks.
Yeah.
So
The Rams came
led
back.
28-3 at
Yep.
one stage.
Yeah.
The,
And then they
the
came-
infamous Super Bowl score.
The Rams came all the way back.
Yep.
32-28 in front.
Yep. And then the Bills, through a bit of a dodgy pass interference
Yeah,
call
I
on
think
a
that's
4th
probably
and
fair.
9.
Mm.
Don't know about it. Still not sold on it.
Yep.
Didn't want to put it in the stock exchange though
Oh, good
because
call, bad call
still not
for
sure
that.
how I.
Yeah.
Oh, good call, bad call. Because I'm not too sure how I feel about
Yes.
it.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, you did tip against your Bills.
I did. One of the key things I was looking for in this game was Josh Allen to say, "All right, I'm here. I've arrived."
Yep.
And he probably hasn't had that game.
You
He
don't
probably
think
had
that was
it.
this game?
I reckon it was this game.
Oh, yeah, good.
But he hasn't had it up until this point in time.
Right.
And he was having it last year in the playoffs game against the Texans. But
Yeah.
the second half went to...
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
In the game-winning drive that you just spoke about there was like a 3rd and 22 early on, and then about midway through the drive again around midfield, there was like another 3rd and 20, and he converted both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One was a bullet pass up the middle to Cole Beasley for like 25 yards.
He did well
So-
to, as we kind of touched on in the
His
in the
accuracy
preview.
as well.
escaping the pocket too when it started closing in on him. He did a really good job.
And his rush ability is good.
His rush ability has probably been the thing that helped him survive in those first year and a half before he really established himself.
Yeah.
But I think this is almost his coming out game where he's gone, all right, boys, like we are behind.
Yeah.
We're playing a good team in the Rams that have proven to be a good team this year so far. He put them on their back, as Slam mentioned, 3 third and long plays.
And when they weren't going well, like they hadn't scored in a long time.
I don't think the Rams would have lost too many fans or any real respect from any of us with that game. I think
Probably would have if it had ended 28-3.
yes,
but
they went back hard.
Internally, they'll be feeling hard done by too.
Yeah, they'd be flat.
They would have thought they might have just stolen.
Although
that
they've had the right end of the stick on a few pass interference calls in
that's probably
recent
fair.
times.
But no, I think Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs continue to look real nice. And now you've added Beasley into the fold there. The tight end whose name escaped me that caught the game winner.
I think Croft caught two. Tyler Croft.
So he had a good day. The Bills are a sneaky. They're not even sneaky. They are a pretty good football team.
I think they've arrived.
So,
I
if
think
you
they are.
remember, Blaze, in Schnarz's season preview for the Bills.
Preview,
however you want to say it. He did say how Allen had never had a 300-yard passing game.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, on the weekend and the week before, he's now had 2 300-yard passing games in a row. So I think, as
and
Schnaz
big
alluded
touchdown
to,
numbers too.
perhaps
like
he
4
has finally arrived.
Yeah, and I think that was your
When
point,
some
wasn't
doubted
it?
he'd ever get there.
He hadn't done it yet, and this was the year to find out.
He was the unknown man out of Wyoming.
Yeah, and he is really starting to prove, any doubters wrong. And I think if it continues to roll this way, the Bills have got a
And
real
4
case.
TDs.
They've got a real case for third best team in the AFC.
Oh, 100%. They're my third best.
I think they're
easy,
really way up there at the moment.
Well, the Patriots are performing probably above our expectations too.
Yeah.
Even though I tipped them to be having a right season, I thought the Bills would have, hit this out of the park and gone, we've got the division here. The Patriots are providing some good
100%,
competition, which is interesting. But I think the Bills are a level above here. And their defense, obviously, last year was around... I can't say his first name. Names aren't my thing, but his last name's White.
Tre'Davious White.
Tre'Davious White.
And then they've also got Ed Oliver out of Houston in last year's
player.
draft.
He's a good
So they've got a good defense, and last year their offense probably it was talented, but it just hadn't meshed properly. And I think
and you add someone like Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen continues to come on, Singletary continues to come on. It's looking pretty good down there.
Singletary had 71 on 13 carries.
Yeah,
Again.
my favourite thing about the game too was it was sunny.
Yes,
it would have still been cold.
Uncharacteristically
sunny in Buffalo.
And I'm still saying the geography would have played a part. It's a long plane ride.
Very good, very good. Hey,
East Coast, West Coast, baby.
Interesting one though, Blaze. Darrell Henderson led the rushing attack for the Rams.
So Cam Akers
that's
continues
3 weeks
not
in
to
a row.
be seen.
Yeah, 114 yards and a score.
Yeah.
Where is Cam Akers?
What's
going on with Cam Akers?
Sure.
What,
I do know. I've been trying to. Obviously, I called him out as a bit of a breakout for mine. He was under an injury cloud towards the back end of last week's game, and then I think he was being monitored during the week.
Well, he's in trouble then because that is a good game. 114 and 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you get any
keeps
complaints
doing
from
that. Cam's going to find it very hard to get back into the game.
My man Cam,
your man Cam,
not Sam's man Cam. My man Cam.
Your man Matty Ice, Schnaz.
Speaking of
head of the Atlanta Falcons.
This game, I think I mentioned before in a good call, bad call. When I woke up and I saw the score was 26-30, I was like, there is no way that Mitchell Trubisky is putting up 30 points.
And there wasn't.
And boy, oh boy, was I glad to see that Nick Foles came in and threw 3 touchdowns.
I don't know if there would have been many people outside of Mitch and his immediate family that were sad to see Nick Foles come in to the helm at the Chicago Bears.
I don't get it at all because Slammer and I, we're probably the greatest minds in football. Well, we like to think
100%,
so anyway.
No cap.
Well, yes.
And we said at the start of the year, who's QB1 for them? And we both said Nick Foles.
Yeah.
And
it's taken till now.
They're 3-0. Luckily, 3-0.
Correct.
Yeah.
But if Foles has played all season,
who knows where
who knows how they could even be up really high in people's power rankings.
Yeah, correct. Because at the moment, there's this massive asterisk next to the Bears, and it's like, oh yeah, they're 3-0, but they must be.
What did Foles come in at? Midway through the third?
Yeah, after
Trubisky threw a bad pick.
And had 188 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. And looked really smooth doing it in a brand new team. He threw some really nice balls. Jimmy Graham, of all people, caught 2 tubs.
Unusual for him.
Yeah, it looked pretty decent.
Yards as well.
Hey,
back to his Saints days.
30-26. It took another massive collapse from Atlanta.
It did.
What the hell?
I think we said
26-3, Blaze, with 10 minutes to go in the fourth.
We said this last week too.
Yeah.
2020 has been a weird year, but it's good to see there's one consistency amongst the world we live in.
But isn't Schnars getting to the point where it's almost so consistent?
It's
Weird.
comical.
Like, how did it's not?
I like it. It makes me feel safe at night. It's like when you throw the slammer first. It's your security blanket.
I can pay
The
that.
Falcons blowing a lead is my security
I
blanket.
can pay that.
First time in NFL history a team's ever had a 15-plus point
Yeah.
lead
In the
and
last
lost
quarter
2
twice.
games.
Yeah, I don't know.
Consecutive weeks.
I don't know how. Like you look at the clock. I mean, you might have seen a still shot of the score and the clock remaining, and we've all said it to each other so far tonight. How do you lose from there?
Oh.
Like, how can you can't actually fathom that you could cough up that many points in that much?
Especially after it happened last week, Blaze.
Yeah.
Learn from your friggin' mistakes and make sure it doesn't happen again. Like, it's not as if they've got jump change at running back either. Like, Gurley had 80 yards and a score. Like, I don't get it, Blaze.
Do you reckon they just threw the tape out after last week and go, no, that can't happen again?
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, what are they thinking?
Yeah, I don't get it.
And they've got Ridley, who still had 110 yards. Like,
We need to get our man out of there.
Oh, we need to
Sam's
get
man,
Calvin
who's become
Ridley
all
out
of our
there.
man.
Get him to the Chiefs.
Yeah, he is Slim Slamming the bandwagon fans, man.
No, he's
I like
my
that.
man.
We've adopted him.
We've adopted
I
him,
don't
mate.
know.
We're taking him.
No.
We want him as
We
well.
are one now.
I can tell you who we
You
don't.
can. You're a bandwagon fan.
I can tell you who we don't want is Dan Quinn at the head of my
Yeah.
football club, the football
How does
team.
he still have a job?
I don't understand.
No, that's Washington. They're a football
Well, they're a
team.
football team. Dan Quinn, I mean, you've got a history, and like we said, consistency is already there. I don't
He has
understand
just
how
been
this can continue to happen.
doing it for years.
And you can continue to have a job.
Oh, it's bizarre.
It is a joke.
I'm
Like-
expecting my phone to ring any
Oh,
day.
Jesus, that might be a stretch.
Atlanta? Yes.
We've got a
It is
joint...
Slammer.
Slammer and I have got a joint email, so email us.
Yeah.
And we just tell us.
So you two have a joint email, and I'm not on that email.
Yeah, we're the brain trust.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm feeling left out.
Calm down, Jenny Taft. It's okay.
But no, my issue with it...
You're just the host. You're not the ideas.
That really hurt my feelings. You know?
Just getting back on track. I think the thing that Atlanta have proved... This is karma for us excluding him.
Not to mention how he said Atlanta.
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Atlanta Bengals.
Straighten up.
Um,
Straighten up.
Bengals.
Straighten up. So the Falcons, they obviously don't have really a talent problem on offense.
No.
No.
But what I do believe they do have is they need someone like a collective minds
Oh.
to come in and just straighten them up, because obviously this is not a talent problem.
You're kidding with that.
Might be a
You're
talent
not
problem
bringing
on
out the
defense.
collective minds on my show, you prick.
Your show.
This is why
Jeebus,
we
we
have
are
a
getting
separate email.
personal tonight, aren't we, sports fans?
But no, it's not a talent problem.
Yes, you're
It
you're
might be
right.
on defense.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of great defenses in the NFL.
No.
Your offense should still
There's
be able
some
to
not
get...
crap ones, and I'm pretty sure the Falcons are a crap one.
But what the point I'm trying to get at here is the offense can help the defense. And late in games, their offense isn't helping their defense
that's
by
probably-
converting and staying on the field.
That's probably fair, Shnazi.
So I think there's probably a bit of an issue around the play calling. I reckon the head coach is genuinely rattled.
But
Yeah.
the Falcons have probably... I can't remember week 1 what they scored, but they've scored 26 here. They had like 40 last week.
Yeah.
Like, so they're not putting up small scores. They're just giving up big scores.
Yeah, you're giving up 30.
Yeah, no, but they're also blowing leads here.
You're giving up 30
That's
to the
what
Bears.
I'm saying. They're giving up big scores.
Giving up 30 to the Bears.
Yeah,
you
but
had Trubisky at
when you're
quarterback
2
for 3.
touchdowns in front, your offense can play a serious part in having good time management, keeping the ball in your possession.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, going down the field in first gear, just going really slow. Just
Also
get
doesn't
down
mean
there.
that every time you're on defense, you just have to give up touchdowns.
No, it doesn't. But, you know, we're not talking about Seattle here.
The logic is sound. Hey, let's talk about the Chargers Panthers quickly.
Not for too long.
Not for too long, indeed. Maybe are we going to touch on Slammers guarantee in this
Well,
one?
I
Mate, or
mean,
you
we
wanna-
already did it at the
Yeah,
start.
you don't really want to get back
I
into
don't
it?
really want to talk about it. I've explained what went wrong.
Yeah, that's fair
Minor
enough.
hiccup, and
This
we will
one-
bounce
this-
back. We're
this-
still at $16 in profit.
We're just clinging on to that profit.
Just holding on.
Just a crumb of a profit. Chargers.
I'll take over from here. So the Chargers,
Oh, good.
I thought they were going to mount a fourth quarter comeback. And
A charge, so to speak.
they were going to charge back.
Yes, very good.
Just like Slim Slam and the Bandwagon fan.
Yes, coming
We'll
back.
charge to the end of this.
we will.
But Joey Bosa had a sack, the first one of his game, and there would have been about 2.5, 3 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
Right.
They were, it was a 3rd and long situation and put him out of field goal range, and I was like, right,
Yep.
Herbert, you're in this league now. You're the man. Cement yourself as the man.
Here's
And
your-
I thought
here's
he
your
was going
moment.
to lead a game-leading drive, and as Slam quite rightly mentioned at the start,
Should have.
Should have.
Yeah.
And it nearly happened.
Yeah.
And that would have been a
Eckler
defining moment, and
Eckler dropped the
Tyrod
hook.
would have been done.
Yeah, you would have been able to put a line through Tyrod.
Tyrod, Mitch, you're done.
He's right in the boat.
Drive by.
Eckler dropped the hook
Drive
and
by.
ladder and cost him. He had
Yeah.
a free run.
It would have been
20
tidy.
yards untouched. It would have been like the Veronicas, going straight untouched into the end zone.
Oh, that is a pop culture reference and a half from you, Chucky
I loved
Charles.
it. I loved it.
And
too,
you're not
guys.
great at songs either.
I
That's
know.
not usually your
I
thing.
was actually. I can't pretend I made that up on the spot.
I can
thought
imagine
about
you're.
it. I thought about it today.
I
when
haven't
we were
even
watching
looked
the
at
football.
I haven't even looked at you, Shinazi. I'm assuming you're loving this.
You can sense the pain in my voice. Chucky, you got any stats to throw at the fans?
Which game are we talking about?
Chargers, Panthers.
Chargers, Panthers. First win for the Panthers in 11 games, so that's not bad. Teddy had 235 yards and one score.
Yep.
Herbert has outplayed him probably, 330 yards, one, and he had another pick. That
So is that
probably
two
shouldn't
games
have
for
had.
Herbert above 300? Did he have 300 in his skate? I think he had
think
313
so.
against
Yeah.
us, I
Yeah.
reckon. So
So,
you'd be
yeah.
happy with that.
Yardage-wise is going okay. Keenan Allen had a big day,
Yeah.
132 yards and a score for him as well, and he was the one that gave the pitch to Eckler that Eckler messed up.
As you speak there, Chucky, I'm just thinking back to something Schnarr said about weapons in Jacksonville. So probably understated a little bit is the Chargers' offensive weapons in
Oh,
terms
yeah,
of Keenan
huge
Allen,
weapons.
Mike Williams, Hunter Henry,
Should be
Austin
making it look a
Eckler.
hell of a lot easier for Herbert.
Yeah. So and that is probably part of why he's putting up those.
That
really
was
nice
out of all the
numbers.
quarterbacks being drafted this year. He was going into the best situation
Yeah,
by an
100%.
absolute mile.
That's why there was so much
definitely.
talk about Brady potentially going to the Chargers.
Yeah.
Because they got weapons.
Yeah, very good. And that's all we need to say on that one. I'm happy for Justin.
They need
Um,
Derwin James to come back, though.
Yeah, they do. They need some help
But
in that
he's not.
secondary, but he's not coming back.
Not
anytime
coming back this
soon.
year.
No. So a bit of development into Justin. I think that's probably why you don't really want to put Tyrod back in. And if you're like we touched
How
on, if you're
worried
the
would
team
the-
doctor, you're not going to let it happen anyway.
How
So,
worried would the Chargers be about Derwin James? This is like the second full year of football he's missed.
Yeah,
And
there'd be
he's
some,
like a top 3 safety.
there'd be some concerns. I would have thought.
I'd be
and
very
you really
worried.
need a top level safety
I
in a
think
division.
we
with
spoke
the
about this
Chiefs.
too with AJ Green as well. 18 months out of the game,
Yeah.
although a little bit older than, a lot older than
yeah,
Derwin James. Obviously, it's
What do you look
compared his
like?
ability to play the
Yeah,
game to
you'd
a
be
level we
seriously
expected
worried.
from him.
Yeah.
And I think they've already signed him to a big deal, too.
Yep, you are quite right there, Slam.
Bit of a concern. Hey,
Big concern.
Colts.
It's actually got a lot of Eric Berry
yeah,
vibe
it does
about it.
actually.
Pay him
Yeah.
a lot of money, then he
Yeah.
can't get on the field, and then it ends in a releasing. So who knows?
Who knows, indeed.
Colts, Jets?
Colts,
Big stability
Jets,
there.
36-7, as we touched on with the 21 Bridges analogy, which I think went down like a house on fire, really.
House of Cards on fire. more
House of
likely.
Cards on fire. Let's just stay the hell out of New York City at the moment because it's just no good. Obviously, this game was played in Indianapolis.
Most interesting part of
so
this
not relevant
game
at all.
is that the Giants beat the Jets 9-7.
Yeah.
And that's probably all we need to say because every week that you play the Jets, it's a bye. They are trash.
That is the dumbest thing I've heard. Anyway,
They are terrible.
Darnold had 2 pick sixes, which, that's good. You'd be loving
He
that.
threw more. Did
More
he,
pick sixes than he threw touchdowns. So that's always good.
did he
Throwing-
throw more
throwing
touchdowns than
that
Rivers?
way instead of that way.
I think he might have. Did Rivers? How many Rivers throw? Was it
1
one? So he threw
Yeah.
more touchdowns.
for Indy than
Yeah. That's
Rivers
just-
did for
Oh,
him, which is good. You'd be wrapped with that.
I don't know how much to look into Indianapolis just yet.
No, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be right now.
Yeah, I think they've still got to prove some
They've
doubt
had
as
2
well.
easy games.
They've had 2
He
easy
went
games.
like Rivers went 17 of 21, 217 yards and a score.
They really should be 3-0
But I
considering
mean,
they
to be
lost the
fair,
Jags, really, shouldn't
your stat line isn't going to look that good. Like, so Jonathan Taylor had 59 yards on 13 rushes. Rivers, so he's only had 13 rushes. Rivers has only thrown it 21 times. Your offense ain't going to be out there that often when Darnold's just throwing pick sixes and then giving the ball back to himself.
It's a nothing. That's
Like,
what
he was just keeping the ball, and
He's
just
just getting
every now and again he thought Indianapolis should get some points. And there you go.
He's getting some
This is
reps
why I was
in.
saying it's genuinely a nothing game. Like the offense hasn't had to go out there and win a game. The defense hasn't really won it themselves. They've just, oh, here's the ball.
Yeah.
Like for example, Xavier Rhodes
Yeah.
was last.
I think he had a pick.
was last 2 picks,
Hey,
and he had a
everybody
pick
had 'em.
6.
Yeah.
And his career's been on the decline since his last Pro Bowl in 2017.
Yes.
And
He
they
was
made him
awful
look like
last year.
a all first teamer.
Yeah, he
all
looked
pro.
fantastic.
But he did look very good a few years ago.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
2017.
He's just
Yeah.
he's recreated
Yeah.
some of that.
I jotted down a little question here that I'd love to ask you both.
Yep.
Name a receiver for the Jets.
Once again, I'm gonna have to defer back to my Jags comments from 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
and be, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at it and I looked at their receiving sheet and I had a look at their stats and I
Sean
went,
Perryman?
don't know, couldn't tell you.
I don't know.
But yeah, I was looking at the names and
Maybe that should be your
Dunno.
pet project. Mine's the Jags. Yours is the Jets.
I don't want to look about the Jets.
I didn't want to look at the Jags, but
Well, you
Trevor's going to one of these teams.
you gave a job to yourself, mate. I'm not looking into the Jets.
Trevor is going to one of those teams.
Well, it's Blazers' show. He'll just tell you what to do.
All right.
All right.
So, Jenny, what game are we on to next?
I'm not going to be able to live that one down, am I? Seahawks v Cowboys in probably
doozy.
in stark contrast to what was a snoozer in Indianapolis. The Seahawks got over the Cowboys 38-31. The rush
Very
show
high scoring. We got that part right.
You did.
Congrats, Naz.
The rush show continues to roll on. Another 5 tubs this week for the most through 3 games in NFL.
Correct. 14 touchdowns in 3 games,
I
breaking Pat
watched
Mahomes'
the
record.
replay, and nothing against Russ here, but a lot of his passes were low and behind the man.
Yeah.
We're throwing shade on the guy that's thrown 14
No.
touchdowns.
So I'm
14
I'm saying
touchdowns
he
in
played
3
well,
games,
but
and Schnaz is not impressed.
the talent at the receiver position for him saved him on a lot of throws. Because if you go back and watch a lot of his throws, a lot of them were low and a lot of behind.
Yeah.
And nothing against Russ. He still played unreal game.
Yeah, of course.
But they could have played a lot better. And if you're going to be the MVP of the league, you've got to play better than that, as Pat Mahomes has played today.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't see Mahomes missing many balls low. You don't see him behind players.
There's a lot of things Mahomes does that other people can't.
And I mean, playing devil's advocate, or maybe a devil on your shoulder, Schnaz, to what you just said, the Cowboys' defense has been documented as being pretty subpar
It's a bit leaky.
this year so far. So but again, we're 3 games in, he's thrown 14 tubs, and he's got those numbers that are going to back him up. If it continues to roll that way, sure thing. But we'll just have to wait and see how consistent this can be, because is it flash in the pan? And we know he's fantastic, but this level, is that flash in the pan, or is it going to drop
It's going to
back?
be interesting.
Dak had a crap ton of yards here too. But
Yeah.
bit like you got to take it with a grain of salt.
Dak had
They were playing
472 yards.
from-
Yeah.
But they were playing from behind a lot, so they're only throwing it.
A little
Like,
little junk yardage.
It's a bit junky because Zeke only had 34 rushing yards because they just weren't running it. Like they were just throwing on every play because they had to try and catch up.
They had even Cedric Wilson, I believe he
had
was-
over 100 yards.
He was cut last year,
Yeah.
and then re-signed. Had 107 yards. And he was. So,
We're
no,
getting 'em.
I think what we'll do is we've got to watch this space for the Seahawks when they play a good defense. Like Baltimore, the Colts, the Niners, or the Ravens, or the
for
Chargers. Even let's see how well Russ does.
Baltimore or the Ravens. That was. So.
Shout out Baltimore. Moving on.
Broncos v Bucks. The Bucks did what they had to do here. I don't want to continue to talk about the Bucks all the time whenever
think
they win.
the only
Sucking ears, as Blaze termed.
the only thing to talk about here with this one thing for the Broncos and one thing for the Bucks in my mind.
Yep.
The Bucks used a lot more receivers. They didn't just go to Mike Evans like they did in week 2.
Godwin got hurt as well.
Yes. OJ Howard had 6 receptions.
Yes.
Yeah,
6
had a nice day.
receptions.
Gronkowski got more involved.
Gronkowski had 6 receptions, which is more targets than he had in the first 2 weeks. So it's good to see the load being spread a bit. And I don't know if it ended this way, but partway through the last quarter, Mike Evans had 2 receptions for
end
2
that way.
yards
Yeah.
with 2 touchdowns.
It did.
And I don't know if you would have ever seen that before.
No, it happened once before.
It's pretty special.
So
Brady 300 yards and 3 tubs. I'm not prepared to say he's not old and washed, but he looked pretty good on that game. Against not much. Like Denver don't have much left at the moment.
and I think even what Denver did have, their quarterback on the weekend was Driscoll.
Yeah.
He got benched for Brett Ripon. I don't even know that's how you say his name.
I didn't know that.
That's
insane.
He came in for one of the last drives of the game and went 8 of 8,
Yeah.
and then got picked on the last play, which was a 4th and 1.
Oh, it's
4th
a
and 1
shame.
trying to score.
It's a shame for.
So who
Mr.
starts
Ripon.
next week?
Look, the most important part about this game is that they set up cardboard cutouts of South Park. That was the most interesting part of the whole thing.
Yeah, that's a good little.
Which was very funny.
That's the Broncos bringing pop culture references into their game.
They love
So they're obviously following our lead, which is nice.
Our lead. So true. In a game that I'd not like to talk about too much, Blaze.
Yes, the Cardinals Lions coming in here. Sam's, I guess, your de facto number 2 team at the moment. Arizona,
My little
I'd
pet
say.
project team.
Yeah, bit of a unexpected loss here to a Detroit Lions outfit that had been struggling pretty hard, and Matt Patricia was on a bit
Doesn't
of a
make
hot seat.
sense how Lions won this game.
No, it doesn't.
26-23.
First career pick for Jeff Okudah, 1 of 3 for
Akuda Matata.
Yeah, I like that.
What a wonderful day.
Kyler Murray, 3 interceptions on the day. Hopkins had another good one, I believe.
He did, 137 yards.
Yeah,
No
so
TDs,
it's just one of those days where it's going to happen in football.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not going to go all
Yeah.
the plan.
You've got to remember,
This just came down to Murray Murray having a bit of a...
Kyle is a young quarter. He's what?
Yeah, he's gonna
18
make
games
mistakes.
into his career.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, 18 games. I think I'm hitting the nail on there.
Yeah, I think so.
Might be 19
it'd be
actually.
about that.
Yeah, it'll be one more because this is their 3rd game.
Yep.
So he's a young quarterback and he's going to be prone to mistakes and prone to some bad games. And that's why I think we're not saying that this is the Cards year. The Cards year is year 3 and year 4.
Yeah.
I don't think
Interesting enough, they both had the exact same amount of pass yards.
Well,
How weird's that?
Bit of
270 exactly.
bit of
But
numerology.
Stafford had no INTs.
How are you going with that pen over there? Big
Not
Chief?
good. Dropped it twice.
Very good. So that was 23-26 there. We all picked the Cards. We all got that one wrong. I don't think anyone would have picked Detroit to beat the Arizona Cardinals the way they were
Not
going.
if they were right in the head.
But hey, let's move on
Saints
to
and Packers.
Saints and Packers.
Got this one right.
We got this one right, me and the Chuck man.
I also picked the Packers.
No, I think you got it wrong, Blaze.
pretty
I think you got it wrong. You picked the
Yeah,
Saints.
pretty sure you got it wrong.
I didn't pick the Saints because I put up Michael Thomas as the reason why I was going to take the Packers.
One of you.
No,
didn't.
that was I reckon week 2.
One of you didn't pick the Packers because I know I did.
I picked the Pack over the Saints, and if you can go back in the
Oh,
in
we're
the tape
arguing
and
about
find-
silly things.
we're not because I picked the fucking Packers,
Look, one of you's wrong. It's not.
and it was Stars. I'm telling you, it was Stars.
Pretty
We
confident
will
I picked
assess the
Packers.
footage,
It was you.
and somebody will get roasted
It 100%
in the next
was you.
episode. So
Okay,
stay tuned for that.
things to look
Jim
at.
Tiki, there's a job.
Things to look at in this game. The Saints, Drew Brees played a lot better than he played in weeks 1 and week 2,
Who you picked?
which was good to see. Yet to be substantiated.
Packers' first win in New Orleans since 1995. Schnars.
That's a good one.
It's a long
And
time.
Thanks.
the
You
concerning
like that one?
the concerning part here is the Packers defense do not know how to tackle.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
there were some
Kamara's-
seriously that play that Kamara had
Yeah.
that he took to the house.
It was great, but it was some seriously poor
Oh,
tackling.
I don't think it was great offense or
No.
great personal ability. It was more the inability of defense.
There was shades of the Titans trying to tackle Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship
Oh,
game
so true,
last
Blaze.
year.
Don't,
It's just
please
like-
don't give me a hard on. Interesting one here, Blaze. The Saints have allowed 100-plus rushing yards in their last 41 games.
Yeah.
41 games!
So you know what you're taking if you're getting on the punt in
Yeah.
one of the games, aren't you?
The other team to have 100 rushing yards. It's just a fact at the moment. Tell you what, though,
right.
Green Bay's GM, he'd be smug as shit right now because he's sitting at home and Lazard had 146 yards and 1 TD. 146 yards, and everyone's like, oh, he didn't draft him wide receiver, myself included. and then Alan Lazard's at 146 yards and a tud.
I told you Alan Lazard in the season preview was
Oh,
alright, and you gave
come
me
off
and you
it.
gave me nothing.
No.
I said Valdez, Scantling, and Lazard.
Snaz, would you have a listen to this bloke?
I heard Valdez.
Unsubstantiated facts coming out of his
Lazard, Hazard, I don't care who it is.
I said Alan Lazard and Valdez, Scantling are good 3 and 4. Check it.
Well, he's playing as a number 2 at the moment, so
Whatever.
either way, you're wrong.
37-30, the Pack get it done over the Saints, and the tip that
Kamara
me
had
and Sam got
200
right,
total.
Schnell's got wrong. That'll be proven correct with a little clip from Jim Tiki. And then
I can't wait for that.
into Monday Night Football as we approach the hour mark on our tidy little podcast here. Ravens v Chiefs. The host of the Chiefs.
One-sided. What a whitewash, Blaze. Am
It
I
was
right?
it was a very one-sided
The score-
first half.
For mine,
Did not.
the score
Yeah.
does not reflect the game.
No,
It didn't.
It was not this close.
And without that that punt return or that
Yeah.
kickoff return from Duvray, yeah,
Duvernay,
might
yeah.
actually challenge the cheetah for the fastest bloke
He
in
looked
the
rapid,
NFL.
eh?
He was flying.
Yeah,
He was
rapid.
absolutely flying.
Not even
You
close.
take that away, it should be 13-34. And this is what I...
And hang on, not to mention, like, Butker missed 2 field goals.
Yeah.
And
It
that's
more
what I was
like
getting to.
40 to 13.
Well,
So I had 2 concerns, and I reckon I walked into Slam today, and I was like, I had 2 concerns. One, the start of the game, they put up the offensive line. You had one guy on the right tackle, and he was from the Giants, and you had the other guy, and he was from the Jets. And I was like,
massive concern.
expletive. Anyway, that was my first concern. And then my second concern was Butker was reading the paper too much. He was online. His
Yeah.
head was bigger than Slammer's.
Yeah. He'd exploded.
He genuinely exploded. Missed the field goal, missed an extra point.
Yeah.
And then I don't understand that call for him not just to... He can kick it out of the end zone. Don't let him return it.
Yeah.
You hadn't let them score a touchdown. Your defense was playing
They
really
try
well.
and pin blokes.
Why
in the
are you
last-
giving them a chance?
Yeah, but they try and pin blokes in that like 5 to 0 yard area so that you can't just take the touchback, so that you have to run out and you can tackle them short of the 25, which is where you get.
Yeah,
it.
I
But
understand
obviously
that.
didn't
But
work.
their
It didn't
offense
work very well.
Their
there.
offense was not going anywhere in the first
Yeah,
half.
yeah.
They hadn't put up any points.
I'll tell you where the offense of the Chiefs was going, into weird and wacky places.
doing whatever they friggin' like.
Anthony Sherman caught an underhand little slider from Paddy, and
And it was
then
beautiful.
and then what's his face?
Eric
Eric
Fisher.
Fisher copped a lobbing ball where he broke off the line and
I
just
was not
walked
happy
it
because
in.
it got you no fantasy points.
But all that said and done, the usual suspects got involved in the end. Hardman and Hill.
12
looked
straight
good.
wins, Blaze.
Kelsey had plenty. And I just think it was another day where the Kansas City Chiefs rolled in and looked
Good to see the
fantastic.
Cheetah have
Spot on, Blaze.
Yeah.
Good to see the Cheetah have some yards in the
Yeah.
first half this week.
Yeah.
Yep, had a nice TD.
Didn't-
12 straight wins for the Chiefs. Pat went 10 of 13 on
Franchise
third down.
record.
Yeah.
10 of 13.
Franchise record as well.
Yeah.
So he threw
franchise record.
threw 4 tubs today and ran one in, I believe.
4 touchdowns, ran one in, had 385 yards. You know what old MVP Lamar had? 97. 97 yards
Yeah.
through the air.
It did not look like 1 versus 2 on the
Strud.
power rankings.
No, it didn't. It didn't. It was quite ugly for them. And I mean,
Lamar's never won a game when the opposition have scored more than 25 points.
without making a bit of a sweeping declaration here, does that game factor into your concerns around the Ravens in big games, in playoff games?
It factors into my concern, Blaze, if they're behind
Yes.
in big
okay.
games and they can't play the style of game that they want to play.
Against a decent defense.
Correct.
Yeah.
Do you have the stat off the top of your head about the amount of games that Lamar's won against Mahomes and in playoffs compared to
0
what
and
he is?
3.
So I think overall in playoffs games and against Mahomes, he's 0 and 5. In
Oh,
every other
sorry,
game,
sorry, yeah.
he's
Yeah, that would be
21 and 1.
Yeah.
Right.
He's
He's lost, well, he would have lost after
That's
today. He would
serious.
have lost 4 regular season games. 1 was to the Browns,
yep.
3 to the Chiefs.
You
Yep.
haven't played over the postseason.
Yeah.
No, he played last year in postseason.
No, but we haven't played that
Yeah,
in the
sorry,
postseason.
yeah.
So he's
And yeah, he's
got
lost 2
some
playoff
deep.
games.
These like I'm not saying he's got demons in his head right now,
No.
but Patrick Mahomes has a lot of
Oh,
free
100%,
real
he's got
estate.
free real estate, yeah. They're living up there for free. It'll start to creep into their minds right now that maybe they can't beat the Chiefs, especially after losing at home and not even really being close.
and that's what the score is.
Yeah.
Is sort of
That's a huge win because now, like, potentially that gives Chiefs home field through the AFC if
Yeah.
all things go according to plan for the rest. Like, and that means the Chiefs get the round 1 bye. Baltimore have to play the 7 seed sort of thing. Like, it's a huge game today. It was a huge game today.
It's massive for them. Hey, I think that might just about do us. Week 3 review show in the books.
let's call it there. I reckon.
I reckon it's going to call it there.
Yeah,
Just
probably have to.
yeah, I'm going to quickly step.
Do you want
through
to quickly step through your best bet?
My best bet. I had the Chiefs 1 to 13 in the tips in the margin there. It ended up being 14. I'm not going to complain too much because we obviously got up. It was one of those games where it probably could have blown the best bet out entirely, really. So 20 to 34, I'll take that.
The
We'll move
scoreline
on.
was favourable for the
It
best
was
bet.
it was favourable. But that's just how it's going to roll in. I think with that said, we're going to just have to quickly touch on the Thursday night football matchup for the preview show, and
Absolutely.
and then we can move on into our socials and whatnot. So we've got this week the Denver Broncos and the New York Jets.
Bit of a snoozer.
In one, we don't have to waste much time on here. I know we're running a little bit over time tonight, so apologies,
are.
fans, if you're still with us.
2-0 and 3 teams.
2-0 and 3 teams, 2 absolute snoozers. The Broncos are decimated with injury. We don't know who's going to be at quarterback there.
Might be Brett.
Might be.
We're with 2 T's.
Might be. I don't even know.
Let's just quickly get straight into the tips.
I don't even know what the Jets have got to offer. I'm not going to
Stop
bring it too
wasting the
much
fans'
in.
time.
No,
I'm going
shit.
Broncos.
It's at MetLife.
I'm
but
taking-
Yeah, I'll be taking the Broncos.
I'm taking Broncos too.
There you go. 3 Broncos for
With
Thursday night
that
football.
said, that's the preview done and dusted for that one. Hey, socials: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and obviously Spotify and YouTube. Follow and
And Apple
subscribe.
Music now, Blaze.
And Apple Music now, my friends. We've got that one in the books. Slim Slam Bandwagon fans, subscribe and follow on all those platforms. Keep showing us the love. We love it. Twitter, SSBR Podcast, starting to get some traction there. And yes, as you just rightly put, Sam, we don't have to worry about Apple Music anymore because we are now on it. With that said,
Fantastic.
it's about time we sign out for the night.
Pass over to Slammer.
He's been Slim. I've been Slam. That's the Bandwagon fan. Good night.